Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Kris Eul. I'm the co-founder of Kinetic, and thank you so much for joining the Minibar session this morning on building a company during a pandemic. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to recap some of the earlier events from later this spring, of which when the pandemic started unfolding, especially here, focusing here in the US, some of the events that played out and some of the opportunities that were created from the pandemic that we saw as a means to start a company during what is seen as a really unfortunate and generally an unfavorable time. So as we're going through this today, I highly encourage you to share your feedback or share your questions within the comments section. Happy to answer those along the way. And of course, if at the end of the session too, if there's some time for Q&A, I would love to interact as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You should see what I am seeing. So let's go ahead and do that. And so we'll go ahead. We'll start off with revisiting that timeline that I was talking about. So back in March of 2020, the U.S. declared a national emergency. Over 140,000 total COVID cases were reported in the U.S. In April, we said stay-at-home orders go into effect. Of course, Governor Walz closed the schools statewide for the remainder of the year, and then we topped 1 million plus cases. So a couple of themes as you look here, and I won't go through everything on the timeline, but a couple of key themes that really caught our attention within this timeline as COVID-19 started unfolding, and as it seemed like every minute there was a new update or something new that was happening with this novel virus. We saw that the virus was very active. It wasn't going away anytime soon. To this day, right, there's still no vaccine as far as a remedy for the virus. And scientists are saying it's going to be the end of 2021, even early 2022. So with the virus, of course, things like schools, restaurants, and events, right? The big reason why Minibar is virtual this year is because of large gatherings and social distancing to be safe and avoid the potential spreading and being a super spreader. So that was one of the things. We have this virus that's highly contagious that is preventing us from being in large gatherings. We also see as a second theme here is that unemployment rates are in record numbers. In May, we see that 14.7 unemployment rate was the largest unemployment rate month over month in the history. So there's a big transition taking place here of people either being furloughed and looking for new employment or being entirely laid off. They are in this transition where they could also be underemployed, where they're not, maybe they have reduction of hours or reduced hours, and they're now looking for something else to help supplement that income. So looking for additional opportunities. So right there, it tells us that we can't go into large gatherings. We need to be networking. And with this transition period of looking for something new and looking for that next thing, we need to have a way for people to actively and effectively network and communicate with one another. And a lot of times that happens outside of our existing networks. And so how do we get really good at matching people, matching professionals based on needs and based on interest and goals, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for feedback as a co-founder or an early stage concept that you may have. But how do we get better at building a place where people can have their aligned goals with others, and they can help one another and have a really reciprocative platform in which that can happen. And so from this, back in May of this year, we decided to put up just a simple landing page to see, are there people out there that actually would want to participate in something like this? And the common question that we got in the early days, as I say, being all 7 months into this, but a common question that we get is, why can't LinkedIn do this? If what you're proposing is essentially a way to match professionals over video. Well, why can't LinkedIn just add a video component and be able to do it, being that it's the internet's largest professional network? Now that's true, right? So that's that, you know, if LinkedIn added video, you know, they might be able to do it. However, if you dig a little bit deeper and you look at how LinkedIn is actually built, as far as the different features and the different components of the social media platform that it is, it really replicates all the other social platforms, but just really targeted towards professionals. So things like micro actions where you're scrolling, and there's a really key focus on keeping your screen time and keeping you on the app or on the website as long as possible. Things like likes and shares and short little comments and even auto-populated comments as well. A lot of those things are designed to just draw in your attention and just keep you distracted. Where what we're building is something that's much more focused on minimizing that time to value, or that TTV, and getting you to those conversations with those aligned professionals to have those discussions as quickly as possible. So we put up the landing page. We got about 100 or so people that signed up within the first couple of weeks, which is great. We didn't really do any promotion of it. So it showed us that there's a little bit of interest. And so with everyone that signed up, we went ahead and did a customer interview with them. So we wanted to hear exactly what interests you in signing up. Do you use LinkedIn today? How do you use LinkedIn? And just to get to better understand some of their motivations on what makes them curious about signing up for a platform that isn't currently available, that helps people connect aligned professionals over video. So when we take a look here, some of the feedback we got from LinkedIn, I think this first one is just like one of the best. LinkedIn is where relationships go to die, right? I think that, again, with social media, what you'll find is that they're very a lot of the metrics that they focus on are very much in vanity, or it's fast fleeting value. So things like the follower number, right? So the average LinkedIn member has over 900 followers. Well, if we know Dunbar's number, we know that we can only cognitively hold about 150 relationships stably at any given moment. And that includes family and friends and our coworkers. So this 900 number that the average person on LinkedIn holds or has, it just goes to show that those relationships are surface level. We're very much connecting. We're very much connected, but we're not necessarily connecting outside of a like or that share. Digital Rolodex. Again, I maybe know a quarter of my connections, and most of the new people reaching out to me are spam. It's spam. They're just asking for me to try out the product. I don't even know them, never met them before, and yet they're asking me to buy this product. So on the right-hand side here, from additional research that we did, what interests you in joining? So a fun fact, before, we were called Kinetic, we were called Cling for a short moment there. So that was fun. We've already done a rebrand before we've even launched publicly. But 90% of people said, hey, I'm looking for a place to network with professionals in my industry. And then, did you work remote prior to COVID-19? I think this is really telling as well. Over half the people that signed up, right, did work remote. And so there's this need of, they use video, they're working remote, they're away from their coworkers, or they're away from kind of the outside world. They're in that transition phase. And now they have to, again, figure out the new norm. What's that next step that they're going to take in their professional career? Who can they meet that's in their industry that can help them out, to provide that feedback, to provide that advice, and really get to the heart of it. I think real quick, what we're doing here is we're taking away from the noise. So if you want to take a look at this and imagine this as walking into a networking event, right? And you see a sea of people. There may be a handful of people that you really, really would want to meet, that would also want to meet you, that you would greatly benefit from having a conversation with, that you have aligned goals with. Same thing with a social media platform. Same thing with a virtual networking platform. And that's exactly why Kinetic is powering the virtual networking for the Minibar event over the next 2 weeks, is because we want to help go from, okay, I'm here at this event with other people, and yeah, I can meet, I can try to meet everybody if I really wanted to, or how do we get really, really good at connecting and making those introductions to those aligned professionals that have those overlapping goals, so that we can make it a really rich experience for everyone involved. And so what we've been able to do to date, and where we see our best use cases, is right there at the bottom. Co-founders that are looking for other co-founders, whether it's to join the team or whether it's just to have this open conversation, this very safe conversation of some of the headaches and the trials and the tribulations and the successes and the things that they can't share with, they don't maybe not feel comfortable sharing with their team or with their investors or even with their board, but just to understand that there are other people going through something similar, almost as a co-founder support group, an early stage company support group. That we're at the early stages here, we're wearing a million different hats, and it can get overwhelming, and there can be a lot to do. And it's nice to have that place where, again, co-founders are finding that they can talk with others and get advice and feedback, and again, just get that type of support that they can't get otherwise. Industry peers to discuss best practices. So, we've really designed Kinetic so that for those that are in the tech space, that are really looking to sharpen their craft, that are looking to professionally benchmark with others, with their peers in the industry, that are looking for best tools, most recent news, share experiences of what's worked, what isn't working. This is where a lot of our members are getting quick value from. Job and freelance opportunities. So again, kind of talking about what we said at the forefront. I'm a co-founder. I'm looking to bring members on my team. Well, I am a software developer, or I am a early stage sales hire that I'm looking for a new job because I was recently furloughed or was recently laid off. And then also industry-specific investors to validated startups. So one of the big issues here in the Midwest is deal flow. So how do we allow and enable those companies, these early stage startups that are validated, they're tried and true, they just need the capital to make it to the next step or get through that next hurdle or get to that next milestone, and connect them with investors that are here in our backyard, that are aligned with those industries that can really help and really make that beneficial to be the support of that startup and get them the capital that they need to keep going and make it to that next round. So here's a timeline of how we went from landing page all the way to launching our site. Again, we initially started as Clink, and so we've updated that to Kinetic. So at first, our positioning was, hey, you can network at any time. Again, thinking about stay-at-home orders and social distancing and this big transition that we see with the high unemployment rates and people looking for that secondary job or that new job altogether. We really felt like, hey, we can be a place where people can network on their time and on their terms and get a lot of use out of it. So starting in April, we launched the landing page. We did our user interviews, and then we actually just started making email introductions as our alpha. We didn't build an MVP. We didn't take all this time to build a prototype. We just tested it by simply sending emails to those that have signed up, and us being the facilitator of those emails and saying, person A, I wanted to introduce you to person B who also signed up. We introduced you because of these overlapping interests. Feel free to pick a time and make sure to set up a time and connect and have a conversation off of these topics that you're both aligned with. So from that, we saw really good opt-in rates and completion rates as far as people that took the email and actually, again, took the time, they signed up, they followed up with the person that they were introduced to, coordinated that time, and had those conversations. Really interesting. What we found was that 100% of all of the introductions, even that we've made to date. So we've made over 160 introductions between early May of this past year to to as of yesterday morning, we've made over 160 different introductions. Every single one that has provided feedback and rated their experience, 100% has said, I want more introductions. So there's a serendipitous component that we're finding that even if the introduction, as this was especially true when we started making these email introductions, but even if the introduction isn't necessarily to the most aligned person, or maybe it just didn't go as well as it could have, or went as well as expectations were, there's a serendipitous component of the variable effect of but there's still other people out there that I want to meet, and this is a service that helps bring those introductions to me without me having to do any of the work. So we thought that was super interesting, the fact of, and we've made some pretty poor introductions at the forefront of this all, especially during email when we're still trying to figure out. I think one of the key learnings that we found is when we introduce professionals together, when it's peer-to-peer, that's going to be the most fruitful conversation that we can offer and that we can provide. If it's tiered, where someone that has a lot of experience, say 20 years of experience, to someone that's just coming out of school and just kind of figuring out what they want to do and trying to find that first-time job, if the expectations aren't set, that's going to be more of like a mentor conversation versus both parties trying to equally get new knowledge and new insights out of it, that can be a pretty dismal conversation. So with that being said, all the introductions that we make from our key learnings early on is peer-to-peer. So when you sign up, you'll actually see there's a little field that asks for industry experience, and it'll say 0 to 2, 3 to 10, 11 plus. And so all the introductions we make are peer-to-peer for that exact reason, to make sure it's both parties can get equal value out of the conversations. And again, they're going to get the best experience when they're chatting with a peer in that space. So our MVP was built and deployed. Fun fact, we built in a no-code tool. We built in Bubble. For those that are familiar with no-code tools, we have had a lot of success with it. We essentially learned the no-code tool and launched our MVP within a month's time. So that is incredible. As a non-technical person, the fact that I can go into this no-code tool and I can make updates along the way, I can make adjustments, and I'm not going to, I won't do anything major by any means, but I can make little tweaks and little bug updates. That's pretty significant. I think that if you are building an MVP right now for your company or for your idea, that definitely take a look into no-code tools. Bubble's been a big success for us, but there's also, I know, Webflows and a few others out there too, but would highly recommend you taking a look at those. And then just before June, we started making our introductions via the platform. So instead of going to email, everything was done right there in the platform, and it was good to go. So I know I'm running out of time here. I got about 5 minutes left. So here's how it works. We are live right now. Again, we are powering the virtual networking for this event. We've made introductions already between attendees here at Minibar. So if you haven't done so already, highly encourage you to join at joinkinetic.com, fill out a profile, just sign up as a new member, and we will get you set up with some introductions for, again, other line professionals that are here. Today, we're a community of just over 300 members. Again, very much focused here in the startup space, as well as the tech space. These are some of the experiences that have occurred already, from actual members that are getting some really good value out of just being part of the conversation and being involved. So Jessica and Ranjan, I think, is one of my favorite stories. They didn't know one another before Kinetic and signing up. They were introduced to one another, had a couple of follow-up conversations. And from that, Jessica actually asked Ranjan to be an advisor to her company. And he's actually helping her close that seed round of funding, which is, again, incredibly exciting. And then right below there, it's Michelle and Jeremy. Again, didn't know one another before joining Kinetic. Michelle is actually launching a new MVP that focuses on expediting FDA approval for medical devices. Jeremy, on the other hand, happens to be a co-founder of a medical device company. So we made the introduction. You can see from Michelle's feedback that they talked for nearly 2 hours, and that it just it was really, really good feedback. It was really good conversation. And Jeremy, on the other hand, this certainly was not a one-sided conversation. Jeremy, on the other hand, is the type of person that loves to provide that feedback and loves to provide insight and shares experiences. So it's, again, finding that deeper alignment. Then we're just at the same conference, but really getting into some of the more some of the deeper specifics on what you're looking for and what your goals are and what your interests are, so that we can make some really beneficial conversations. And then you see Eva and Brad on the side there too. Again, both local here in the Minneapolis area. But Eva's saying, we got into real business problems that we're trying to solve and tackle. It's great to chat with each other and with other driven people. And then, of course, Brad is saying, hey, I like to network on my time and with high caliber folks. So we are seeing that early stage that it is coming to, it is panning out. It is, we are creating a place where people can get that value from and can really, again, have a place to have a conversation more than just a like or a scroll or retweet, but really dig into the details and have that platform to talk about the details. And with that being said, would highly encourage you, again, to get in on the conversation. So we're going to be making introductions for the rest of this week, all of next week. Again, we've already been making them. There's already been folks that have completed their, the first conversation. And so I highly encourage you to go check it out, sign up, and get that introduction. So first question, are you full-time in this? I am full-time in this. I've been working on startups for the past 10 years. Actually, the last startup I was with for six great years. We grew the company from a handful of us. I was the first sales hire to over 70 team members, and learned just a ton from the team and taking this into Kinetic. How big's the team? There's 2 of us. So it's a pretty small team. However, I think the no-code tool really helps us not necessarily need a technical co-founder. And I never thought that would even be an option, that the technical co-founder wouldn't, for being a tech company, right, wouldn't be a necessity. But it's certainly opening the door and making the case that if you know how to, again, building these no-code tools, you can alleviate a lot of that hurdle and even get to market, much faster than a traditional coding, than a traditional programming language. You mentioned LinkedIn spam as a problem, but how do you validate the potential connections actually are high quality? Absolutely. So everyone that signs up, we're an invite-only community. So because that this is a part of the greater event with Ministar, everyone's provided access to the platform. But for those that are not part of the platform, the 300 other plus folks, it's been by invite only. So it's the fact of that we can really help make sure that it's high quality by being able to meet everyone that comes in and understand what the goals are, what the motivations are. And it's not, we certainly don't want to be a place where people come on here and try to push their product or sell something. What we want to do is make sure that people are getting real value, again, finding it resourceful, and just being able to ask those questions and being able to be a support system to other folks. I tried to sign up and stop because you asked for so much personal information. There isn't a question, but I've got some critical feedback to share. Okay, good. No, absolutely. And I think I'm actually glad you brought that up. So why the information, right? I think that's really, really important. I think that we're finding that we need to do a better job communicating at the forefront. And that's something that we're working on right now, actually, is the details are incredibly important, because if you want good matches, if we want to make good introductions that are worthy of your time, and that you can really step back and get something from, the more details, the better. Now, we believe that there are some details that are weighted higher than others, where we can make matches on, say, like a light sign up, like on a light sign up onboarding process, that could match you a little bit more randomly. But again, everyone's time is valuable. We want to make sure that you have a good experience from the forefront. And so we do ask for a couple of those extra details so that, again, we can have that certainty and that assurance that when we make those introductions between you and that other professional, that it's going to be beneficial and that you're both going to get something from it. What no code tool do you use? Yeah, we're using Bubble. So Bubble.io. We're actually going to be doing a feature with them when we do our public launch coming up in November. So they've been incredibly supportive, great support team. We actually had like an onboarding glitch, just before the email went out on Friday, that, I even went up to one of the executives that was helping us out and pushed our support ticket along, because they know that, hey, if anyone has a bad experience on our platform, which is a no-code tool that's powered by them, that they're gonna have a bad sentiment or a bad taste in their mouth about no-code tools in particular. So I think in general, what I've found, or what we found, is that Bubble has been just really, really supportive, and have been extremely resourceful in making sure that we've been able to do this without a hitch. So cool. If there are no other questions, again, please feel free to sign up at joinconnect.com. Give us a try. My information's down there at the bottom as well. So if you have any questions, if anything comes up, you just want to reach out, please feel free to do so. And thank you so much to the Ministar team. Really, really enjoyed it. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Minibar experience.